Today, Splatoon 3 has apparently been selling so well that Nintendo wants to celebrate by inviting the whole internet around to your Switch. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint, where I think I fell asleep for like 8 months because it was apparently E3 this week.
E3 didn't happen this year?
Then why did Sony, Ubisoft, and Nintendo all have their big game trailer showcases?
Because E3 didn't happen this year?
But why now?
Out of respect for the Queen, why are you asking me?
Well, you're the only one here.
Paul's here, maybe he knows.
Oh, he definitely knows, but he's also definitely not gonna tell me. The failure of NFTs is funny, but the coy walkback from companies who tried to sell them is much funnier. Like Ubisoft, who are already a bit of a joke on their own, but this week, King of Joke Mountain Yves Guillemot tried to play off the utter failure of their abysmal Ubisoft Quartz marketplace and its Ghost Recon trouser NFTs as very useful data in an experiment they were secretly running. Or at least that's what it sounds like he's trying to claim. During a Q&A after a recent press event in which Guillemot did not mention NFTs or blockchain as one of the technologies Ubisoft believes would define the future of gaming, he was asked about the seemingly abrupt halt in rollout of Quartz and its digits. Reminder, digits is what they called their special NFTs. And Guillemot said they were, quote, still in research mode. He continued, quote, "We were probably not good at saying we were researching. We should have said we were working on it, and when we have something that gives you a real benefit, we'll bring it to you." Adding, exploring doesn't mean launching. But launching means launching, and Ubisoft did launch NFTs of helmets and wolf-enhanced pants, and it was such a failure that Ars Technica found only 96 second-hand sales of Ubisoft's so-called digits. And originally, Guillemot and Ubisoft were very bullish on the idea, because while the original press release, to be fair, did refer to Quartz as a large-scale experiment, it also featured a quote from Ubisoft's Strategic Innovations Lab VP Nicolas Puard, who said, quote, "Ubisoft Quartz is the first building block in our ambitious vision for developing a true metaverse." As if that's a sentence that means something. And recall what Puard said back in January when questioned on the negative reaction to the launch of Quartz, saying that gamers don't get how amazing this is for them. In fact, he also said of Quartz, quote, "We so strongly believe that what we are doing goes in the right direction, so we will keep integrating." A far cry from Guillemot's, haha, just researching, of course. Maybe next time you're just trying something out and the initial reaction is overwhelmingly negative, maybe say something like, "This is great data for our research. Thanks for the feedback," and not, "You just don't get it, you plebs."
Splatoon 3 is out. The colorful, fast-paced game is characterized by its squad-based online play, which means network configuration! Yeah, you've probably heard about this already, but before I was an internet comedy journalist, I worked in tech support, so I'm gonna get my beak wet again. If you're having troubles splatting, Nintendo has set up a handy support page that has some simple steps you can follow to potentially undermine the security of your home network. Jumping right to the end, the big one is to open ports 1 through 65,535 on your home router. But hang on, in the interest of security, it says to only open those ports for one IP address, your Nintendo Switch's address. And so earlier in the article, it tells you to first set your Switch to use an unchanging or static IP address. That way, the port forwarding rule that opens over 65,000 doors in your house to the outside world would only apply to the Switch. But what static IP can you use? Every computer, phone, tablet, smart plug, thermostat, fridge, and buttplug.io compatible recreation device in your home network has its own IP address, and you don't want to conflict. So how do you know what's available? Easy. Go to your computer, find its IP address, add 20 to the last section of digits. I read that line and smelled burnt toast, not just because it's stupid, but also because it's so smart, and I hate that. Oh, and if the Switch's connection test fails with that address, no problem, just add 30 or 40 instead. This is idiot-resistant technical writing. So why is this a bad idea? Like I said earlier, even though it's only for your Switch, you're opening 65,000 doors to script kiddies and botware, and I'm not convinced Nintendo's flagship is 100% unassailable. Also, the sheer bad practice of poking around casually on your network for an unused IP address stresses me out so much. Plus, if you write that rule incorrectly, you might pop 16 bits worth of holes for another of your devices at random, or even for your whole network. Look, my house has a lot of holes in it too. I've got 3 really big ones I can even walk through, but I don't get why Splatoon 3 and possibly other Nintendo Network games need over 65,000 doors. Why not just one? Can they not just pick one hole instead? Can we not just agree to use, I don't know, say UDP port 42069 and hope Nintendo just jumps on the bandwagon? Anyway, at least we caught this in time, and we're getting the word out before anyone follows this advice and potentially blows a hole in their network. That says we, doesn't it? 2012. Cool.
In a surprise to many, and an absolute non-story to others, the 1997 Nintendo 64 game GoldenEye 007 is coming not only to Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, but also the much shorter named Game Pass, with each version enjoying one modern-day improvement that the other doesn't get to have. While the Xbox version of the critically acclaimed game will be remastered in 4K so you can see every jagged pixel on Pierce Brosnan's digitized smirk, the Switch version will feature online multiplayer, so a new generation of gamers can learn why the #1 rule of Oddjob is no odd job. Not that anyone's expecting a new generation of gamers to even play a game that's 25 years old, but at least both versions will have consistent frame rates of minimum 30 FPS, unlike the original N64 release, which boasted, 7? It felt better at the time, but looking at it now, I think it was somewhere between 0 and 12. If you turned on turbo mode, you were basically just all agreeing to pretend you knew where the walls were. Anyway, it's being released sometime before the end of 2022, so when that happens, toggle on Golden Gun and meet me in the stack for some slappers only.
And now, an exhaustive look at the box art for The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Very nice. It's got a lot of blue, and I like blue. It's not my favorite color, green is, but I liked teal when I was in high school, and this is kinda teal. Oh, I see it features Link up in the corner there. That's cool. He's got some new clothes, which look really warm. That makes sense, though. He seems to be up really high, and the temperature drops the closer you get to the sun. Link's carrying a sword, and the Master Sword is bisecting the big Z in Zelda, so we can expect more sword play. There's no Master Cycle 0 on the cover, so I think we're going to be walking around a lot. Oh, but Link is wearing a cape, so maybe we'll fly around, like in Superman for the NES or Saints Row 4. There's these yellow things that could be leaves, but are probably Hyrulean skyfish, as a nice nod to that older Zelda game, Skyfish Sword. Rating is currently pending, so maybe this is finally that adult Zelda game everyone kept moaning for back in the N64 era. Oh shit, the islands are floating. I should probably mention that in case you're listening to this in another YouTube tab. Yeah, Link's standing on a floating island, floating in air, that is, not floating in water. Water islands don't float, I think. Vancouver Island doesn't float, I think. Anyway, only air islands can float, and that's pretty cool. There's some other floating islands in the background, and also a tiny volcano, and next to that, a tiny castle-looking thing, and next to that, a tiny mountain wreathed in clouds. So I think the Minish are back. And that's absolutely all the secrets contained in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom box art. Be sure you like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys next month when I talk about all the secrets in the Splatoon 3 box art. Hit up the Patreon. Later!
I'm not sure I like this new channel direction.
Look, if we're not going to be good at video games, we should at least do something clickbaity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was great.
Sorry?
Warren Beatty and Dick Tracy. Great movie.
Were you not listening to me On purpose or by accident?
I make it a rule to ignore anything you say when you write the outro.
Coming up, Nintendo announced Octopath Traveler 2. That's 16 total travelers. 19 if you include the mobile version, which you definitely should not.
Vancouver Island
Yes.
doesn't float on water. Islands typically don't float on water. You're
No.
correct.
Yes.
But it is on its own tectonic plate.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's on the Juan de Fuca plate, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of floating.
It's definitely separate from the rest of the mainland in a way that's very, very like we could just go somewhere else.
I've lived my whole life under the doomerism of the big one.
Oh yeah.
You know, everyone's like, oh, it could happen anytime. It's very seismically active around here. How are you?
It's also not a very big plate, the Juan de Fuca plate.
No,
my
it's mostly just the island.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's a big island,
Yeah.
to be fair.
So we could just, if everything shifts slightly, we could just rocket up into the air. That would be super weird. If all of a sudden it's just like one day there is like everything moves a bit, there's a disaster, and it's like, why did the harbor like go down about 3 meters? That would be, well, it's terrifying where I live now because I'm much higher in the air.
Oh, it would smell so bad down at the harbor. Oh, that'd be awful.
Everyone in the world is worrying about sea levels rising, and we're like, ah,
Yeah.
don't
So-
look down.
We had Sony's State of Play.
Yes,
We had the Ubisoft one. I didn't watch the Ubisoft one. We had the Nintendo Direct.
sure did.
What did you come away from?
All three of those?
Well, what did you watch the Sony one?
No.
Okay. The Sony one was like 8 trailers for a lot of games we already had seen.
So an understaffed trailer park is what you're saying.
It was not very exciting.
Okay.
And they talked a little bit about the loyalty program,
Oh yes.
PlayStation Stars.
Yes.
I don't know why the console that brought you Resident Evil would want to call their thing Stars. But they didn't talk about what it is or what it does or why you should care, except that you can get these like digital rewards. I was like, you're not saying that these are NFTs. They're not. They're just they're you know how in Astro's Playroom for
Yeah.
the PS5, I know you don't have a PS5, but in Astro's Playroom, you go around and you collect basically like bits of like Sony's
Ephemera.
hardware history. Yeah, Sony ephemera, and you like collect it and then you put it on the shelf in the room.
It's a Bravia television.
And you get to be like, oh, there's like the PS1 multi-tap peripheral,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's stuff like that you get to like have in your collection of things.
that you can also put in your house, like an Astro's Playroom put in your house?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Sounds like you just have a collection that you can somehow show off. They did not explain why you should give a shit.
Now, Nintendo has a missions and rewards program that's built in.
Oh, the coins and stuff.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
built in Nintendo Switch Online, and so you earn platinum points by doing those missions every week, and then you can redeem them for
I've not been doing that.
icons and shit to build avatars out.
Yeah, it's irrelevant stuff.
Yeah, and it's just like the other day I bought a few things because I'm like, oh, I can buy a Famicom tape recorder. I'm gonna do that
Sure.
because why not? That's
Okay, so I guess this is similar, but I don't
think
know
that's
why
what
they
it's-
took time out of their State of Play to talk about it, considering they gave very little information and it did not sound interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like Nintendo did the same thing like months ago when they talked about when they brought this up for the first time too, and it is kind of like, oh, it is just Avatar bullshit. Okay, I don't really care about that. So, yeah, I guess everyone has to have that moment of, hey, here's a new feature of a thing, and I mean, I think it's funny that they brought it up, but we're like, it's not ready yet, so we're not going to explain it to
Yeah.
you. That's a little lame.
There was stuff in both. Of those events that I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah?
There was definitely some games that I was like, oh, that's neat. But there was also like in the Sony one, there was a game formerly known as Project Eve, now rebranded as Stellar Blade, which looks like they wishes it was Near Automata,
Okay.
without any of the sort of the art direction or like vision, and it's. You play as Eve, and you meet this guy named Adam, and you're protecting the city of Zion, spelled with an X, from alien beasts called natives.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Capital NA colon TIVE.
Oh, that's different then.
Yeah. And it's sort of like, what what kind of ham-handed nonsense are you doing? Also,
Is David Cage involved?
also even in this trailer, the jiggle physics was overactive.
Oh, great.
They were just like jittering in the middle of conversation. It was ridiculous. Nintendo's press event
Yes.
did not have that, thankfully, but it did have like at least 4 farming sims.
Yes. And can we name them all? Story of Seasons, It's a Wonderful Life, which is, I believe, a remake of the Harvest Moon one.
Yeah.
Harvestella by Square Enix.
Yeah. Rune Factory 3.
Right. That, and then they also announced that Rune Factory is going to have a new game at some point.
Yeah.
And Fae Farm?
Fae Farm.
Fae Farm, yeah. That's a lot of, holy shit, we missed the Animal Crossing boat. Yeah.
This seems like a vast overcorrection.
I don't think you're going to... I mean, the thing is, like, I looked at all those and I was like, wow, cool, neat, awesome, wow, cool, neat. And then I always flash back to when I played Harvest Moon on stream. I'm like, I was sick of that by near the end there. It's like, Alex just showed up and it's like, we're just going to get married to the girl we're trying to get married to. And then that's the end of the stream forever and ever. And he's like, cool.
Yeah.
And that was fine. That was what needed to happen.
For fans of those games, don't forget that Story of Seasons that's the good one. Those are the ones made by the people that used to make Harvest Moon.
Yes.
When their parent company took the Harvest Moon name away.
Yeah.
And now Harvest Moon names are being made by people who are not as good at it.
Yeah, I think Natsume, who owns the trademark to it, but Xseed and Marvelous were like, well, we can just keep
Because it was only
these
called
games.
Harvest Moon in North America.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was a North American thing. It was called something else in Japan, and it's still called that thing in Japan. And now the North American release of that ongoing series that was Harvest Moon is now called Story of Seasons. But Fae Farm also looked cool, I guess, if you're into that.
I thought it was a neat idea, but also, yeah, a lot of... It seems like every time people making farming sims now are like, I need to also put in some dungeon crawling. So, okay.
Yeah,
that's cool.
it turned into an ARPG partway through that trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought, did we forget what it was?
Also, Spock is in Fall Guys.
So, there's that.
Merry Christmas. Also, unrelated to anything we were just talking about, I don't actually know where this came from.
Okay.
I want to be very clear that I have no idea where this came from or how it entered the moon base. But this is for you.
Yeah?
It said it's for Beej.
Great. Of course it is. That's, wow, that's quite the thing.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's inscribed down here.
It is not.
Thanks for all the A+ coverage, your friend Sonic.
Fantastic.
So I cannot speak to the legitimacy of this.
Yeah.
Like, it could very easily have come here from a social media person at Capcom. It could also just be a friend of ours messing with us.
Yeah, it's true.
I have no idea where this came from.
Wait, why?
Like
you said Capcom. Why Capcom?
Why did I say Capcom?
I don't know.
I meant Sega.
Great.
But
I was
like
concerned.
this is a existing Sonic 30th scene collage. Like this is
a product.
This is an official thing. So I don't know where. I don't know who sent this to us or how it got here,
Nope.
how it arrived. You checked the mail.
I know where it's going. Holy shit.
So
That's amazing.
thanks to our good friend the Blue Streak. May you gorge on chili dogs
Yeah.
this eve.
May you celebrate your 30th anniversary forevermore.
Yes.